Hello, Global Theater. My name is Jerry Fielka. Today is August 29, 2023. We want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast. I'm probably wrong about everything. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Zane Tatum. Zane, where in the heck are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Washington State, just across the border from Canada.
How cool is that? The first question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
To be loved and love other people and express it through art if possible.
Yeah. What's your
Definitely.
favorite? Yeah, what's your favorite form? I agree with you. That's my favorite answer, especially quoting Eden Nabez, Nature Boy. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return. How simple is that? For a homeless dude in Venice writing that, come on.
Yeah, connections. We make good connections through art and through each other if we can be open.
Yeah. Zane, what's your favorite form of information? How it comes into you?
Eye contact. And then my setup and how I am is watching body language. But when I look at art, I look at it like things stop in time. I get lost. So
Yeah.
I love to get for people to get me lost, or I get lost in the music I'm doing. That's the greatest way to connect. So when I watch people, other performers, I just try to get into where they're coming from and listen and connect, and that's the greatest form. And when I read good books or I witness great art, um, I just try to get myself out of my own way.
Wow. That's so heavy to say eye contact. I've studied eye contact for years now. And it's like, is it innate or invented? It goes on and on. But especially, I heard Paul Watson, the guy who started Greenpeace, he was a McLuhan guy. And then he fights all the big countries from killing whales. I mean, this guy is amazing. If you never seen him speak, he's amazing. And he said, I'm in this little dinghy, and this Japanese, bad guys harpoon a whale, and the whale looks at him in the eye. And he sees, his eye's big, but he sees his eye in the whale's eye. And
Oh,
then the other whale comes and tries to save that whale, and the other whale gives Paul eye contact. It's like an amazing thing that eye contact just resonated with me in the last couple days. That's a
Jerry,
great.
I grew up in Santa Barbara as a romantic. My parents were hippies. Broke into a Donovan concert, and all kinds of stuff went down in Santa Barbara. But they, in fact, helped burn the Bank of America down during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And growing up there, wanted to. I was a water boy. I was just went barefoot every day at college. Never wore shoes to class, and it was in the water. But my hero was Jacques Cousteau, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
and
Wow.
where would he be right now, looking around and be like, oh no? But that's where I cut my mustard over in the outdoor concerts in college campuses of Santa Barbara.
That is cool. So why do you think humans collect or gather information?
Well, I mean, we're mob mentality in a good way. We're herds, and so we look to each other for support and for acknowledgement and to compare ourselves because we're comparers, I believe. So the information that we change has changed over time, but we're always looking for ways to categorize our connectivity.
Yeah.
So what happens when it becomes dissonant is when we get stressed, and you can see it around, but we can disperse it if we look at each other simply. You can travel anywhere on the planet and land and connect through eye contact and through music. That's what I say.
So well put. And do you think this need or want to collect information is more innate or more invented?
Well, I think we're just trying to make sense of our environment. We're confused initially. We don't really know why we're here. We just know that we've got this awareness. So I think collecting information may give us a sense well, it might it satisfy our curiosity or give us a little grip to, or put some traction in our sneakers. But we never should get too cocky. And we should
Yeah.
continue to explore. And if we can find comfort in not quite knowing everything, that's not the goal, just to continue gathering. And then also reaching into the past and looking at our predecessors, our people around us who've already experienced many things that we have. We don't have to be alone.
Saying those are wise words. Well put. Do thoughts create emotions?
Do thoughts create emotions? I believe that your emotions create thoughts. I
Yeah.
think we're stimulated by our emotions at all times, and we're lucky to have them, although they can get off the rails. So we see that when we're not balanced, but we can connect through each other and find
Yeah.
ways to balance out.
Fill in the blank. I don't know what I think until I
wake up.
Very
When I say wake up, I mean really get my
yeah.
consciousness out of the way. Not just wake up
Yeah.
in the morning, but wake up. I'm always been a freedom seeker, so I try to get out of my own way.
Yeah. No, you've said that well, and we're going to get in freedom. But can humans think without language?
Can they think without language? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We think in colors, and the things that control my dreams. I like to talk to that committee. I'm very curious to meet them, but I'm always emotionally thinking in things besides language. It's feelings that I have, and so I don't run from them, but I
Yeah.
do know that I don't have to be hostage to them, which I
Yeah.
often am.
Yeah. What Chomsky says a language is not just words, it's a culture, a tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. What do you do when language doesn't work? When language breaks down, what do you do?
I get quiet and listen for a minute before I
Yeah.
speak. Now, know him. Of how many words has he iterated? But look at him, where he's coming from. He's just trying to express something
Yeah.
that's deeper within him. So get quiet for a minute and see what you can hear.
How wise is that? Now, Zane, your observations of humans in general, are we more feeling beings or more thinking beings?
We're feeling, absolutely. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah.
But we think after the fact and try to make sense of our feelings.
Yeah.
We were driven, right before we're born. I think we're all connected back through the ages and through each other. Uh, and we try to describe ourselves with words and thinking, but to give a sense. But that's just feelings all the way.
It's funny because Bridget Bardot says, when I make love, I don't think. And I'm like, good luck. How can you
Well,
turn your brain off? It's sort of like people who meditate. They go, okay, think about not thinking.
well, you better turn the lights off sometimes.
That's good. Okay, two questions from Alan Turing, 1950s. One, is thinking a function of the soul?
The soul, I don't know, man. That's deep. Uh, Thinking, I really discount that on the rack a little bit. I'd say that the soul just rules it all, and then we just kind of tabulate through
Yeah,
thinking.
that's good. I like that verb. And the second Turing question is, can machines think?
They will. I think they will. We talked to a lawyer last night, and we were discussing AI, and I said, "Well, what makes sentience? Consciousness." And he said, "Well, when they have rights." And I said, "Well, maybe you should be the first lawyer to represent the rights of robots." So
Yeah,
I don't believe that the machines will ever think, but I do know that they are teaching us a lot about how to think, and
yeah.
I've been learning about it.
What's the difference between rights and responsibilities?
Well, I don't believe we have. Actually, I don't think we have any rights. I think we earn things that are behaviors, and I don't. I have this thing. I don't really believe I deserve anything. I said that from very young. So I think my responsibility is to be open and wise and kind. That's my responsibility, and everything else will unfold from there. So I don't. I try to get out of the way of too many rules, and I don't
Yeah,
try. I try not to live in deservance.
yeah, yeah. In fact, Utah Phillips says anarchy is making rules for yourself and not other people? Who's
Yeah.
entitled to make the rules?
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody is. I think we have to find guidelines, but I think we should be very careful about rules. I'm
Yeah.
really a rule breaker. I'm definitely a scofflaw continually, and unfortunately, I have that risk gene in me. I've been aware of that for a while. I'm not proud of it, but just the way it is. So I look at rules and see what can I learn and uncover,
Yeah.
and maybe break them. But it's not really that I want to break them. I don't really want to be a bad boy, but I
Yeah.
definitely want to understand. And I tell my customers, I'm a builder, just know the rules. So if you want to break them, you know how to break them.
Yeah.
Don't hurt other people, but
Yeah.
be safe. But
Beautiful.
that's just
Do
me.
you
I know that's my purview.
but believe me, it's heroic to hear someone say that in this
That
setting for me is a learning lesson because you can articulate it so well. You're a wordsmith and you can put this into words that I understand, you know. So I appreciate this. I'm learning a lot. So do you more pursue
well,
happiness? Say it again.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Say it again.
I said, do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Oh God, I don't pursue happiness. I pursue trying to be really into the reality. And in my, I know reality shifts, but I really I believe it will give you, if you pursue truth in the initial experience or the present experience, you'll get what you're supposed to get. And if you happiness me is be that I'm not hostage to false ideas, so I can really experience it. If it's gravel, let me just deal with the gravel. If it's
Yeah,
really elation because of something that's really happened, or I'm experiencing something that's so nirvanic, I'll take that too. So I take what I get, and thank
yeah.
God that I've gotten this get, you know. So
Yeah, I
how
got it
wonderful
from
it is to stand here, part of Stardust, and standing on the
yeah.
we have a delay.
But I got it from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He says happiness doesn't tend to last, meaning does.
Oh yeah, well, meaning, of course, if you assign a deeper truth, hello, let's take that one.
Yeah. What's faster, the speed of light or speed of thought?
We think pretty slowly. There's a guy who actually caught us thinking. If you're talking about conscious thinking, I suppose it's in a few seconds, or I mean a few milliseconds. But I can't answer that, Jerry. I just don't know.
That's all right.
I'm
So
into quantum.
no, I appreciate that. You should feel comfortable because saying I don't know or I can't answer is totally accept. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's really me and you versus the wording on the question. So it's like we're sort of just making a little soup together or dinner. But do you think the brain more creates consciousness or detects it? Like is consciousness there bubbling away and we're more detecting it or more creating it?
I don't think I think we're detecting it because I really believe that you can have different levels of consciousness, And since I was young, I watched myself think, and then I think I started watching myself think like I'm thinking. So I got in this weird thing where I was like, infinitely going upwards, but there's a limit to that. But certainly, I was just becoming aware of it. I'm thinking it was just innately woke up in my car driving and looking at the glove box for the instruction manual, didn't find it. So I said, I better figure this out as I go down the road. And my ego is the steering wheel, but not the road. So I began to have a sense of like where I stood in this experience. But I think consciousness is there, probably through DNA evolution, but I detected it. I don't
Yeah.
think I can mold it, I suppose, through my experiences and my decisions, but I don't know. I think I detect it.
But did you just describe an out of body experience where you like saw Zane and you pulled away and you studied what Zane or I mean, is that sort of a out of body experience?
I love Albert Camus. I love existentialism. I love like looking down upon myself as I
Yeah.
travel through this planet. I really do because it really can. I have a sense of humor. I can laugh at myself. I can kind of embrace myself, or I can scold myself
Yeah.
without like full investment, I can say, well,
Yeah.
hey, you could do better than that, bro. Or come on,
Yeah.
you know.
That's good. Yeah. And so the poet Audre Lorde said you can't dismantle the master's house
Mm.
using the master's tools.
Mm.
Yvonne Rainer responded and said you can if you expose the tools.
Well,
What good laugh, dude. What new tool do you suggest?
I well, I really believe in quiet time because I'm just a noisy person. I'm like a noisemaker. I'm
Yeah,
loudmouth in my mind and also out into the public. And so I have to always have to shut my mouth and try to personally, consciously purse my lips because I really want to speak out and I'm not listening. So my journey is trying to listen more.
yeah,
In my craft of building, I have all these different tools I use to do this or that, instruments, musically, or constructing. But
yeah,
people and psychologically with each other only have so many tools in their toolbox. And
yeah,
so it's great that we can gain other tools from other people if we listen and learn. So when I continually get more tools, just a little
yeah.
edge or an angle on something, that's my tool.
That's beautiful. And so what new toy do you suggest?
A new toy? I'd say I could continually find a new friend to help out. If you can do
Yeah,
that, you'll learn. You'll get so much back. So I'm always selfish when it comes to. I'm a transactional when it comes to people. If I can give something and I can just hang out, I'm getting a lot. So
yeah.
I'm very selfish when it comes to people. That's my
Dude,
toy.
I don't think that's selfish. I think that's where we're put on earth is to share with others.
I like to prod people. I like to poke at them, but that can get you in trouble. Be careful who you prod. So be careful.
Be careful who you prod is a great quote. What do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
I'll disappoint people or I'll fail in my promises or my commitments. I make a lot of commitments at my work because in my career as a musician, I've always supported myself through construction. So I make a lot of obligations on my plate, and so I always feel like I might disappoint. But I realized later in life this I can only do so much to the end of the day, so I don't want to hurt people.
Yeah.
I have, but I don't want to.
So Zane McLuhan learned from Ezra Pound, the poet, that artists, musicians, builders, everybody are antennas of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions. So we might learn how to cope with what we don't like about our inventions. So I ask you the question Marshall probed his whole career. Why do we ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Because we're scaredy cats. We're little scaredy cats, and we
Yeah,
run around trying to find, solace and clinging to a rock, like a little, like an abalone might just hang on to a rock with all dear life. And so, yes, these radio broadcasters scare us the hell out of us because it
yeah,
really makes us reflect. Unless you're up against a wall, coming some tragedy, or other people are really cool and they make you change, you don't want to dig too deep. And so we're cursed with this consciousness and awareness, and then we don't really don't know why the hell we're here. And people tell us why we're here, and then we say, "I don't. That sounds good, but not really that good." So yeah. So the radio
that's
broadcast is like Led Zeppelin. They're transmitting stuff through the dinosaurs. I think the
yeah,
dinosaurs gave music, and they got on the stage. They shouldn't take any credit. They were cool enough to get the radio signal and put it back
right.
out.
Right. That is very good. That you just hear that mama heartbeat of his drums. That is like
I
really.
met Bonham, man. Bonham was, he just a little bit late on the snare, that heavy English sound, and that's just like confidence.
And so do artists have moral obligation?
No, absolutely not.
Oh my God, you're knocking them out of the park. Dude, there's no right or wrong answers, but
No.
that one you got right. But everybody says, but Zane, why do you think 90% people say yes? Everybody has moral obligation, or they say they have an obligation to themselves. I mean,
Mm,
it's
there's no
yeah,
obligation at all. No, they should be obligated to stir it up.
yeah, that's good. And so are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
Old ideas continually fail us. They're a starter. They're get from A to B, but we're at G somewhere along G here, or maybe B plus. But No, new ideas are great. That we need them, and the fact that we're getting them is good news.
Yeah, it's
It could
good.
be wrong too, but
Yeah.
keep trying.
Can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
Earliest memory was drowning in a pool. I was in Arizona, and I was probably 2 years old. And I could look over out the pool. I could see my mom through the ripples of the water, sitting on the side of the pool, and I was dog paddling to the top. So I remember that vividly. We moved to Santa Barbara when I was 2, but I remember when we took YMCA classes to teach me how to swim. Because I barely got out of there. But I remember that, and then the next memory I remember is teething on her piano bench. There's still marks on her piano bench from my teeth, I guess, or whatever. I
Wow,
remember that. It was, I was chewing on the piano bench, and she playing away. I remember that.
that is good. Is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
Oh, most of the time it's a blessing if you can
Yeah.
deal with them.
Yeah. Tell me someone within your immediate family, then outside your immediate family, just briefly, who had an impact on you, kind of like a role model, and what specifically was that impact?
My mother survived a lot of abuse, and she played piano to get out of that. And so she inspired me. She's still playing music in Hawaii, and her freedom and her approach to life. I call her the rose in the desert. Run over by 4-wheel trucks and still shining. So I can't complain too much, man. She took a lot of. So when I was young, she inspired me, and it's funny because I lost her for a while, and then I got back with her, and so that was. But she went through so much, so she's always inspired me. My mother really did. I can keep that brief.
Then that was good. Then outside your immediate family, same question.
Outside, who's inspired me? David Bowie.
What
I
did you get? What did you get from Bowie, you think?
that art was the goal, not the method. And so when he said, he doesn't think he has a great voice, he just uses it to express his art. I just like the fact that artists cannot care about the quality of the performances. It's just the sincerity of them,
Yeah.
and that gave me a lot of freedom to be free to be free to
Yeah.
just to perform as best I could.
Yeah.
He inspired me tremendously.
Yeah. That's good. Did your parents raise you a particular religion?
Not really. We really weren't religious. We would hang out at church on Sundays just because it was the cool thing to do. Went to Presbyterian Church of the Roses, and I was never religious, but I was spiritual, not to a high degree, because I was taught very young to keep an open mind to all religions and philosophies. There's a little bit from all of it. You don't discount any of it completely, but be wary. So I've never. I just try to hang out with the cool people and learn.
Do you pray?
I pray almost every day,
Yeah.
because I have somebody, and praying is just acknowledgement that I should take a deep breath and be appreciative. That's the only reason I
Yes.
pray. I'm not sure who I'm praying to, who's up there. I'd like to have a chat with them when I get a chance. I'll have a few questions, but certainly I try to put myself right size, because my father told me, all you have to know, son, is there's a God and you're not it. And I keep right size. So I do tip my hat to the universe or whatever else up there. But meanwhile, I'll just do the best I can.
Zane, if God does exist, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
After I died, that I had a lot of fun and left something nice behind.
Yeah. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
I would say evil has a long shelf life, and because of the way it affects each other. So I'm interested in evil as far as the fact that the these the fact it keeps rolling around. So I don't know where it comes from. You can call it, dysfunctional relationship. I've seen badness in a big way. So I don't know how to answer that question, but I'll just
Well,
say
the real question, Zane, is how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? And let me set it up. Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola stole from the mob and the samurais, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So it's a lot of thoughts. A basic question is, how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? But first, how would you respond to Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
I don't disagree with that at all. I disagree with that completely. I think you should acknowledge the behavior and see it, know how it affects you, and then get the heck away. I would,
Yeah.
if you can try, if you want to be a little bit of a savior and save the next guy, fine, or the next girl, fine. But I don't believe in any of that. I think that that's a misreading of it. I think that you should be careful, know what your part is in it, and get away, because evil can just stomp you out, and you can waste
Yeah.
big precious time. Could go away. So
Yep.
I'd say get away as soon as you can. If you see someone getting hurt, you can try to intervene. Fine, all the power to you. That's just heroic. But otherwise, I'd say acknowledge it, get away. That's what I see.
Dude, that's exactly what the guy said like a day ago. He says, get away. And I think that's really a good strategy. But you must have ESP because you anticipated the word in the next question. Nassim Taleb said, games were created to give non-heroes the illusion of winning. In real life, we don't know who wins or loses, but we can tell who a hero is. Then my friend said, well, villains don't think they're bad. They want control. Heroes want freedom. And Gregory Bateson says, when the criminal gets caught, does he go, oh, my criminal skills weren't up to snuff that day? Or does he go, wow, I did something morally and socially wrong? So again, it's a lot of prompts, but the basic question is, does punishment work?
Does punishment work? No, I don't think so. Unless you hit a dog immediately after he, bites your ankle, or you're really quick on the draw. I don't think any of that works. I don't think we don't think that quickly. We are set up to be certain behaviors. Like when you want to be a hero, I'll take a bullet for you. I don't really think about it, but if I just dive in front of you, boom, dude, I took a bullet for you. Or if I snap at you, because I have a very quick temper, and I jump out of the car, you want some of this? I already reel myself back. That's all emotional boom. And I don't think I'm thinking too much. Now we have the luxury of thinking about it now. Certainly we can, I believe if people go to jail, they should just go work and learn things and come out better and get points for that. We have a good moment there to help people out. So I don't know about punishment if it ever does any good, but certainly I think there should be retribution, I suppose, at a certain level, financially or wherever it is. But crime and punishment, that's a difficult one. I believe people are pomp and circumstance, and then it doesn't work. And so they go, well, that's the problem with this. So I'm out of that one.
Yeah. The Hafiz, the Sufi poet, has this line about you're the jailer and you drop the keys in front of the jail dude's jail door. So he can just lean through, get the keys, and release himself.
Well, exactly. I think the goat keeps hitting the post, can't get through the gate. So I think we're really a culmination of our experiences and our predispositions, and of course our DNA. So yeah, I think we do a lot of snap behavior actually, unless we take a deep breath and reanalyze it, and then practice and revisit it to check in. Yeah, and God bless that, I guess, in a certain way. It's good not to have to think too much.
The taking a deep conscious breath is such a wise thing. I wish I practiced that more myself. But James Joyce was the first projectionist in Dublin 100 years ago. He basically checked out. He says, why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree? And years later, Faulkner said sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism. Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Living life through art and artistic expression is a full experience, as well as going out and seeing it yourself, because our experience and our reaction to what we see is so different from in our lives, from years to years, to a mood. I went and saw Barbie and I didn't really like it. I saw Barbie again. I loved it. Had to do with my friends. So it's very interesting that what we see and we perceive is so real to us at that moment, but it's different at another time. So I agree that all these experiences are very important. They could last a lifetime of effect. So I would agree with like the Indians say, take the picture in your mind, in your heart of what you see. Don't steal the spirit. And I'm partly Indian, but I would say that anybody's perspective to give you a shot this way, come over here. Let's see it this way. I'm digging that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very interesting. You said a lot there. It really got me thinking because I'm curious your tipping point in your two major callings, being a musician and being a builder. Like your mom's growing up, she's playing piano, you're gnawing on the piano bench. That's a great image. But where was that tipping point? Did you go to high school and college and study music and then you go, okay, that's my calling? Did you study architecture or building? That's my calling. Where's the tipping point on those two pursuits and callings? Like that's what I want to do.
My calling was I love life. So I was really blessed with a love of life. And then as I so as I went to college at like 16, I was really young. I had all these things thrown at me I could do. And I also could sing. And I enjoyed it. So I enjoyed reaching out to the world. So I wanted to explore the world through voice, be a troubadour. So I did. So I took that shot. But building allowed me to make some money along the way because I wasn't making any money. So I used my creative expression through building, try to entertain myself as best as I could, but really traveling around singing at different little clubs. It was a really good B band at the locals. It was a blast. But I knew that it was a long shot. So the tipping point was I had a shot. I took it. I knew at the time that it'd be a long shot actually. But my building supported me, but I took my creativity into building and tried to be fun with that. So my
Yeah.
nature influenced all of it. But tipping point was I had an opportunity to go to Alaska at a very young age to go tour around that area. And so I did. I left it to the dark, to the unknown.
But when you say, Zane, alternative housing, when did you start there or did you go, oh, I'm going to learn how to build houses or I'm going to learn how to be a contractor and a builder? And then you went to alternative or did it start alternative? I
I
mean,
gotta tell you that my father influenced me because he built hot tubs and he would build a geodesic dome. So I got influenced.
oh,
He was like the first geodesic dome up in Northern California, and he had me. He said, "If you want to eat, you got to work, and do your chores." So I said, "Well, I'm hungry. I'll do that." And I helped him out. He said, "If you don't want to help out, just go away." So I really just like to participate in getting things done, and so that was in me. But really, things always came to me, Jerry. They just fell in my lap. I said, "Well, let's give that a shot and turn it up what we can." So my good nature, my I was apt at getting things done. Uh, my work ethic just took me there. I really kind of jumped into the void all the time. I really didn't consciously choose anything. It chose me. I just kind of
yeah.
hung on for dear life.
Well, it's perfect follow up then is a screenwriting teacher told me great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. Kubrick says the opposite. Great art is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. So when you're writing a song or building a building, what role does intention play in your creative process?
Very little, very little. I kind of have a spark and I follow that. Like
Yeah.
when sculptors just kind of uncover the creature that's awaiting them or whatever. It's a journey. Writing is a journey, and I just hang on. I'm so happy just to jump on that bull and see where she goes. Hope I don't
Yeah.
get hurt too bad. I really
Yeah.
is little intention actually than just to be part of it. That I've already succeeded because I actually have a chance to. When I almost lost my voice or lost this, that's what scared the hell out of me. I thought, well, I can never make people annoyed at me anymore. So, but no, just to be part of the human,
Yeah.
path, that would be great. That's how I did it.
But Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much are you thinking of your listener when you're writing a song, and how much are you thinking of your client when you're building a house?
Well, in construction, I've learned it's been very difficult for me to get into the very details of what they want and adapt their psychology and try not to get too pissed off. It's very difficult for me. It's hard because there's some really it's just a minutia to me. I just bet in music I cast that away. I do know inherently that there's only so many times you can, in, you know, be self-indulgent, and how long you be careful not to be in love with your ideas, yourself, and all this. Take that out. And so I am conscious of not being commercial, but there's a, you know, a certain amount of time. I don't want to capture people, hold them hostage. But when I used to tour, I used to get people in the audience out and say, "Hey, I can't sing that well. Come on, help me out," because it was a group thing. You know, I was just trying to make. I wanted to connect. So yes, I do think about people when I write songs. I want to be in key. I have this right, you know, chords. How many you do, but to that extent, other than that, I throw it out and just try to make it sound good enough for me. If I'm not true blue, then it's not going to work. And when we came to LA, we were spending more time worried about who was in the audience from the club. I mean, from the record companies than the audience. So that was way off.
Right.
We weren't doing our craft anymore. Yeah.
But you know, there's a couple things about music that I'm curious, just to stay on that for a second, because yeah, did you have an instrument like guitar, piano, or drums, or are you mainly a vocalist, or what instrument do you use?
I use guitar to write, a little bit of keyboards, but mainly, you know, I've been a singer from day one.
Right.
But I use the guitar to lead me up, and then beats are really important to me. Having a good beat is going to inspire me. But my instrument has always been guitar and vocals.
Good.
And
So Zane, here's the question that it's twofold again. McLuhan says everything we invent extends some humanness, like knife and fork extends our teeth, shutter and a camera extends our eyelids. Maybe philosophy, non-tangible, or religion extends consciousness. What does the guitar extend for you? What humanness?
people accept the guitar real quickly. It's an easy way in. It's like cheating. You put a guitar on, you're already good to go. People have expectation right there. And as soon
Yeah,
as you look them in the eye or sing some kind of note that it has a good vibe, you got them. And I'm
yeah,
not trying to get nobody. I'm just trying to make a connection.
yeah,
So, you know, wherever I travel, I'd probably pick up a guitar and go and just have a bar and just have people sing with me. And so it's oil in the machine. It's a grease. It's a drink to get people, you know, softened up. So I believe a guitar is a slam dunk. If you can't play guitar, you can't learn a little bit of it and have somebody follow along. There's something wrong, and so that instrument's easy. But
yeah,
but 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 really connecting is more of a nuance, I think. And it's
yeah.
not about 100%. It's about just making a great effort of it.
Yeah. And then the hammer, you know, Mark Twain says, when you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail.
Oh
But
yeah.
what is, you know, that's a main tool in building. What does the hammer extend? What humanness?
That's just the fact that we can craft and stop entropy from happening, and for a moment in time, we can actually create a little hut, earth,
Yeah.
or you know, a teepee, or something
Yeah.
fancier than that down in Century City.
Yeah. But you already explained this, but Ruth Draper said the key is to bring the audience up onto the stage and into the scene with you. It is they who give you even more than you give them in the way of imagination and creative power. Yeah, well, that sounds good, but how do you do that?
I did it.
How?
I went from Fredericks of Hollywood with spiked bracelets and spandex pants to Alaska, and the guys were going to kill me. And the band's on stage. I'm out there in the front, and I was surrounded by lumberjacks and fishermen. And they say, "We're going to kick your ass, boy. You shouldn't be here." I said, "Well, I shouldn't be here, but I had to get away from the law, and I can't really sing." I lied to them. I said, "Can you come up on stage and help me sing?" And I got him on stage, and the band's going, "What? What the hell?" I go, and boom, we made friends. I got out of a jam. So I lied to my
that
wife.
that sounds like a Blues Brothers skit.
The truth.
It was like, you know, but Leonard Cohen said the only way you, this one also is, I'm interested your input, Zane. Leonard Cohen says the only way you can sell a concert is if you put yourself at risk. And if you don't do that, people know. What
Yeah.
role does risk play in your creative process?
Jerry, I've been a very risky fellow. I've told people to do you mind if I cuss a little bit for a minute?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I've told audience in Baton Rouge, I said, "Oh, fuck you," because they weren't making enough noise, and they're going, "What?" And my band's going like, "What?" And they're going, "Fuck you." I go, "Now we're ready to go." And there was a bigger interchange. But I really got my audience into it. You know, I really believe that it was their club. That's
Yeah.
your place. And so intimately, I had to take a lot of risk. I would just say things that people would go, "Are you what?" And I
Yeah.
would, and they would go, "Okay, he's joking, and we're not going to kick his ass."
Yeah. Well, what does courage mean to you now?
It means everything. Courage to live whatever moment I have, and be kind to other people nearby me and supportive. That takes a lot of courage to get out of yourself and try to be good. And
Yeah.
so I can be bad, but
Yeah.
I like to be good and get a lot back.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And Viola Spolin said, if the audience cannot see your struggle to achieve something, they cannot root for you to achieve it. What role does struggle have in your creative process?
Well, I would say in performing, sometimes you can't hit all the notes. When I was young, we had to hit all these octaves. And so I smile at the audience and I say, tonight's not the night. But I'm honest. I think honesty, people really get that. And if you smile at them and you look and you put your hand out to them, you'll get it all back, man. You'll be all right. There's
Yeah.
tonight's tomorrow's another night. Be,
Yeah.
not being afraid to look someone in the eye. I'm scared to look people in the eyes sometimes. There's so much there in this contact. I'm actually a humble person, even though I've learned to be, uh, you know, outgoing. So I see a lot in people's eyes. I'm uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah. It's back to that eye contact. That's an amazing phenomenon. And so this jazz writer, Ben Ratliff, says, I mean sound as it has long functioned among jazz players as a mystical term of art, as in every musician finally needs a sound, a full and sensible embodiment of their artistic personality, such that it can be heard at best in a single note. So, like me and you could hear, a couple notes of Led Zeppelin, go, that's Zeppelin. He said Miles Davis is fragile and pointed. Coltrane is slightly undercooked and urgent. So if a music writer or a friend was describing Zane's sound in 2 words, what 2 words would you go? They got me.
Truthful and ethereal.
Oh my God. Suss out, what does ethereal mean?
When we played in Santa Barbara with the outdoor concerts, we tried to reach into the stars and pretend like we were floating around up there and bring the audience with them, even though we didn't. I mean, we weren't that great, but that's what we tried to do. So
Right.
I try to find melodies that are just a little bit off, but that's within my own little construct. And by the way, yeah. So by the way, I don't believe that art necessarily has to be if the timing that you deliver it in and the quiet, the silence before the storm or the silence before a note, that also the way it's delivered is the art form. So someone might deliver a song with it's Kim Carnes with a gravelly voice and half of an octave, but here comes a punch right here for some reason. I don't know what.
Yeah.
So maybe because it's gravel, you can mark her, but I believe it's the delivery as well, the silence in between.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. And you brought up the word art. I'm curious. Mike Kelly said, art is making your problems other people's problems. What do you
I
think
love
of
it.
that?
I love it. I love that. Makes you think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not. We're not. Let me tell you something. We're not here to solve anything. Please,
right.
is that too much? Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back. But,
Yeah,
but certainly, if we can inspire a thought or we can be an enzyme. All we want to be is enzymes, Jerry.
yeah.
That's it. And who is this McLuhan guy you keep referring to? These guys
Uh,
got love. Who is this guy? Is
he's
it?
a Canadian who, from 1940 to 1980, he wrote 22 books, and he got famous because he said we should discuss how TV in books shape our behavior. So
Oh,
he became famous by being in a Woody Allen film called Annie Hall for
oh,
like 1 minute, and then his main aphorism that got him famous is the medium is a message, meaning
oh.
sort of the environment that the music creates is it's what you're talking about, is as important as the song itself. Like the setting, you're in a bar or you're in a stadium singing music, people are doing this. There's many factors involved. I mean, in fact, the Barbie uh line you gave me was perfect. He said, "There's no such thing as a good or a bad movie. It's a good or bad viewing experience."
Thank you. I just saw that recently. How I
Yeah.
it because I was a if you saw Space Odyssey, when I was a
Yeah.
kid, 16 years old or 20, and I saw it 40 years later, of course I'm going to have a different viewpoint. But
Yeah.
I saw Barbie 3 times within a period of
Yeah.
weeks, and I witnessed a different experience each time. So I
Yeah.
go, well, what's that telling me? So
Yeah.
yeah, but
It's
the
it's an awareness. He was saying most people misunderstand it. He wasn't saying that the form is more important than the content, but it sounds like he's saying the form is more important. But basically, he's saying since we don't pay attention to the form, then he's going to stress the form is important. But he was a literature guy. He says, of course, it matters what you're reading, but it's also, are you, where are you reading it, or it's how we listen to music. I mean, we listened to music on a transistor radio growing up, right? Now, and then we got into these huge stereo systems, and now we've returned to our cell phones are transistor radios.
It's all scaredy cat behavior. You're just looking for somebody to make you feel like you got control. You can
Yeah,
only hear past a certain level, so after a certain
yeah,
point, it's worthless. So, like, the more times you're on stage, the more mistakes you make, the more you become comfortable with the idea that sometimes the stars are aligned. What does that mean?
yeah,
It's the energy in the room is good. You feel good. Are you off of a
yeah,
buzz from the night before? Or you feel great, healthy wise. Could be you never quite know when you're as a vocalist when your body feels right to deliver. You can sing like a bird. You can sing like a duck.
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's when they criticize Bob Dylan. He says, you sound like a duck or a frog." He goes, "Have you ever listened to Tom Waits or Leonard Cohen? Why don't you
Yeah,
get
but
their
that,
cases?"
well, they used to call me the wounded wildebeest, who got out and caused trouble in town. So I took that as a compliment.
That's good. But here's another one about art. I'm curious because I'm always trying to figure this one out. This poet, Fannie Howe, said, "The point of art is to show people that life is worth living by showing that it isn't."
Well, of course you want to look at the contrast. Don't rest on your laurels. Take your shoes off and feel the gravel and before you get too cocky. So I do believe that. I believe that you better get exceptions of boredom. Woody Allen would talk about that. He said, "No, life is just getting from one exciting moment to another, and all the in between is life." So
Yeah.
you get into reality. You'll
Yeah.
be all right. You'll get over that. And other people could teach. Carl Jung said you can learn from your peers. So you
That's
just figure
good.
it out. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
And if you reach out, if you're scared, go get somebody to hang on to, and you'll be all right. You'll be
That's
okay.
beautiful. Yeah, I'm in a Carl Jung reading group, and it's so hard to understand for me, but basically it's one of my favorite groups because we just talk about life and we're really down to earth, bare bones. So Michael Apted, I spoke with him about 40 years ago, and I says, "Why do rock video editors feel so obliged to edit fast?" Most people don't know that Abel Gance invented rapid montage in 1922 in France, but right in the 80s, when MTV was starting, it it was a lot of fast editing to the point where Marty Scorsese says, "I cut my films faster because of MTV." So
Uh-huh.
Mike Lapded said, "Well, because we've learned to take in information faster." And I asked this question with a bias. Can we actually learn to take in information faster, or are we just brainwashed to believe we can?
We're brainwashed to believe we can't. I mean, we will get used to it, but it's not good for us. We look at Space Odyssey. We saw it at the Hollywood Bowl the other day, replayed. It was so slow. The landing was a crap. Man, it was like, oh my God. I'm looking at the audience, how they taken this in. Now, there was an effect there. And so obviously there's no rules when it comes to how fast. I would say occasionally give them a friggin' break. You want to cut fast, cut fast. Be frenetic. So people have a heart attack. Then stop. Get that contrast.
That's
Or I
good.
don't know. Who am I? I'm not a filmmaker, but all I know is in music, we used to slow down in the studio because we always get so energetic. We want to go fast and fast. And if you
Yeah.
ever listen to any live album,
They're
awesome.
always sped up in the
Yeah.
songs. Yeah.
Slow down,
That's
guys.
amazing.
You got this, man.
Well, you are very smart, and I'm glad you brought up 2001 because They asked Stanley Kubrick in Playboy magazine, "Why'd you make 2001?" He said, "To convolate McLuhan."
Oh
He
my God,
literally said to
really?
twist McLuhan.
Wow.
And he invited McLuhan to the first test screening in New York, and Marshall fell asleep.
What? Fine. Maybe he needed it. He needed a little sleep.
He needed the sleep, right? Yeah, well, that's Harry Smith said that the purpose of cinema is to put you to sleep. And what do? You dream with a group of people.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
So, what was the motive of the cave artist?
oh my God, that's the greatest question. I love that. It's the best, my favorite question. They drank a lot of wine, Jerry. If you look at some of them, you'll see the gourds were full of wine. But
Yeah.
okay, but a couple of them could use the contours of the caves to express the need inside them to connect to this bigger place. Not only just their other fellows, but to these stars. And they knew what was going on, but they didn't, and so they could draw it. Oh, God, I think you could go way back to find 30,000 years ago, probably more. We just haven't found them yet. Of these, just as good as anybody. These guys or
Yeah.
girls. So, but it was
No,
just that the awe that we should all experience occasionally. Can we, in a lifetime, have a little bit of awe and just wonder?
yeah, it's the two really great words, Zane. And one of my favorite answers too was, "What was the motive of the cave artist?" And the guy said, "To keep people in the cave."
Yeah, or maybe get laid. Maybe we're trying
Yeah.
to get some girl.
Yeah, it's like, okay, come on over and have some grapes and cheese.
I think it. Yeah, in France,
Okay, Zane, what is more important, conviction or compromise?
compromise.
Wow.
That's tough, man. If you compromise it, it means you're outside of yourself, and you can
Yeah.
constantly do that. Not forced compromise. I'm talking about conscious compromise. If you can
Yeah.
do that, man, that means
Yeah.
you're connected.
Yeah.
I have a conviction inside of me to always do what's difficult. If I see it, I don't want to see myself like just being a lazy slob. I just blew past it. It's almost like sometimes I miss them. Okay, I miss those moments, but typically I'll recognize them and I just go and do the tough thing. What's a
Yeah.
tough thing? Tough thing can be compromise. That can be very tough.
Yeah.
But don't be
No,
afraid of it.
it's amazing. It's my oldest question in 40 years, Zane, and 80% of people say conviction, and I want to hear them say compromise. But
Yes.
I know it's either, but I mean everybody, we're born convicted. Compromise is hard in a lot of ways.
The other thing is, there's so many different ways to interpret conviction or
Yeah.
compromise. You may say, well, you're selling yourself short. Well, hold on a second. You can have a conviction to really be open minded and to entertain other thoughts, and if that's the case, and you're compromising that way,
Yeah.
you're saying, I'm going to include the other person in my next steps, and maybe we can do this together. Get you hold my hand, or I'll walk with you, then I'll turn you around, and we'll go together somewhere. But that's that kind of compromise I'm thinking about, and the conviction to be open minded and yeah, sure. There's ways to
Well,
do that.
that's Walter Board said, "What's more important, conviction or compromise?" He says, "The conviction to
Yeah, I was
compromise."
gonna say it.
That
Yeah.
that is amazing. Okay, so you've accomplished a lot. How do you rate these three elements? Luck, skill, and ambition. What played the biggest role, second and third?
I was prepared for luck, which is big by having, my skill set turned up and conviction. So I would say that luck really was a big deal. Just being available for it. When the river, you see a fish go down the river and you can grab one. You're not ready to grab one. There it goes. You get a few shots. And I say now more than ever, don't miss an opportunity. If you've got a thought to give someone a kiss or a hug or to do something proper, man, do it. So you're lucky to have that. You're lucky to have that opportunity. Take it.
Yeah. But my question used to be, is ambition based more on fear or joy? Everybody would say, most people would say fear. And then I saw Friedkin, he just passed, the guy who directed The Exorcist, and he says, in Hollywood, luck and skill have nothing to do with it. It's all ambition. So, I mean, tell me about ambition. Is it based, not for you, but your observations of humans in general? Is
Oh,
ambition based more on fear or more on joy?
Well, both. No, it's driven
Yeah,
by both. I've been lucky, Jerry. I'm a very strange person. I was born with a huge flame. I had ambition from the get go. I didn't even know
yeah,
why. I wasn't in the kitchen with God or whoever made me. But for others, if they didn't have ambition, it's difficult, man. It's a struggle. I feel sorry for them. So having a passion, and even when you see it around you, even it can be rejected in a different way. And then you're lucky to have it when you see it around. So ambition will take you there. I just
yeah,
happen to have enough of it. But certainly, ambition. I always said that there were three things. He said you have to know what you want to do if you're trying to do anything. You have to know what you need to do to get it, and you have to have the ambition and work ethic to get there. A lot
yeah,
of people are missing one of those, and if you do, you're failing, at least in that effort. So
yeah,
that's a simple,
yeah,
observation. But certainly, I don't always know what I want to do. I just
yeah,
try to show up and see what happens, and I'll grab
yeah.
it. But I was
So,
born with
yeah, T.S. Eliot said poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
um, typically a lot of humor. Actually, I'm always constantly surprised at how I think and what I do. So when I say humor, I don't mean like ha ha ha. I mean like a pleasant questioning of my actions,
Yeah,
and so that's really my language inside. I really do observe myself as a very humorous fellow, the way that I do things, and I've made friends with that, and so I'm okay
good.
to move forward with that. That's my consciousness of that.
It's a really good answer. I love that. And so, Zane, two of my film heroes say, ignore yourself. Jonas Mika says, there is no self expression. In fact, the great jazz pianist Cecil Taylor says, I'm just a vehicle and this stuff just comes through me.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
is art making, music making more self expression or more your vehicle for whatever technologies and cultures and environments are dominant?
Well, I take a lot of my particular style of delivering my whatever it is, the art I do, um, for granted, and I just know that I just create a little magic, grab it, twist it, and throw back out like everybody else does. So I'm just part of a big re plagiarizing existing magic, and then putting it back out there for people to notice. So
Yeah,
I happen to have a voice that's so decent, it's okay, and a special way of delivering it. But no, I think it's just a matter of having these moments to be able to express it. But there's no purpose really for me. I'm not really out to accomplish anything more than I've done. So I diverge from your question, but really I just look around and marvel at, like when I opened for Molly Hatchet in Cheyenne, Wyoming. There are like five guitars on stage. I said, you guys need two more guitar players. I think you're short. And I made friends with the guys up there we were opening for, and they said they just really enjoyed themselves, and that really knocked me out because it was like I thought it was kind of silly thing to say, but it really was. I mean, and I realized then with that silly comment really rang true with me. I'm like, man, get over it, get over it and get on with it.
no, that was fun. You had the balls to have fun, man. That's it's
I
like
almost got
you,
punched.
you
I
were
almost got punched.
you were pre fucking Spinal Tap, man.
Oh, that was it. That was a bunch after I had, no doubt.
Can art making be egoless? Can music
No,
making be egoless?
I doubt it. I think anybody says that they're lying. I think the ego, there's an ego. They're always hanging around, lurking, maybe getting bigger, too big some times. I don't. I think like I used to say, Mick Jagger has a big steering wheel.
Yeah,
Maybe other people do, but that's still they don't own the car.
yeah,
It might be a big Studebaker they're driving or something, but they own the road.
yeah.
The destination. So yeah, you need an ego, but I doubt that. I think artists are odd creatures. I think they're all messed up and emotionally in this way. Thank God for that, because
Yeah,
somehow we walk through it and we deliver all goodness to
yeah.
we make people think, and it's so important to me.
Is perception reality?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's the only reality we actually have. We have no reality except what we perceive,
yep,
and perception is just so. it continually changes. We don't actually, there is no reality. I don't think. I think we just kind of, it's like quantum physics. You just observe it, and then it's what it is. Then it was there. There's so much more going on beneath the surface. We're just catching it, catching it, catching it. So our perception is just what we get for now. We're just filters that bubble above the surface, and these eyeballs that come around and sink back in. That's all we do. We blob up, blob back down.
Yeah, Lily Tomlin says reality's just a collective hunch.
I can love it. I love her.
That is so good.
I love it. It's great.
So Lewis Carroll says, I believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Have you believed in any impossible things lately?
No, nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible. I don't live in that world of saying, I mean, I gave up on trying to put humans into a place that was of my liking. I believe that we're here for the reason of change, hurt, love, and evolvement, and that's all part of the process. So all the things I went through, the Zane from 10 years back or the Zane from 20 years back, was how I got here. Of course, I would have done things a little differently now, but I wasn't there. So I really believe that I don't even dabble in these odd thoughts. I just try to hang on to the ride.
But Zane, you've done a lot of creativeness in many years. Tell me one major element that's sort of stayed the same and one major element that's changed in the years you've been being creative.
Just trying to get out of my own way. When I just try not to think too much when I sang on my when I was printing tracks or performing. I try really not to think too much.
Yeah,
that's always been the consistent thing. I try to get out and into the audience and I try to throw myself off a cliff a little bit occasionally, and I make mistakes every time, every day, all day long. I'm making mistakes. So the consistency is to try to get my head out of the way, and when I print, just let it fly, and not like with the rocker god thing. No, and it's always difficult to get quieter and be more breathy, or to be more sensitive, or take a deep breath, because I'm so anxious all the time. But the consistency has been. I'm trying to be truthful and get out of my own way.
In Moshe Feldenkrais works with healing and movement. He says it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength, rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness. Tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
Lying to people. I used to lie to people because I was afraid they wouldn't like me. I was a kind of a bounced around kid, so I didn't feel included. So trying to be truthful was a big deal for me. So I turned that on its head and just tried to be in a kind way, in just a way, be honest. And that's why you hear me saying that again, because I did catch myself trying to manipulate myself and to be liked by others. And so I became okay with being honest, and that was a big deal for me. So I turned that fibbing outwardly to a important. It wasn't even trying to say, well, you fall in love with yourself. It's just realizing that you can't connect unless you're honest. So,
well, that's Marcel Proust's question. On what occasion do you lie?
as often as possible. No, I'm joking. That was just my.
No, that's Tom Waits says. On what occasion do you lie? He says, I didn't know I needed an occasion.
Yeah. No, I count my lies. I think you should save them up for when you really need them.
Yeah,
so I really don't lie. I just don't anymore. Period. I gave that up a long time ago, but I do occasionally. I feel okay. You got enough points, you can lie. So I do good things all the time, so I can do bad things later.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking.
So Zane, anger can be a productive emotion when fill in the blank.
You need to get angry, man. It's important, and it's embarrassing. I could have done that better, but man, I bottle things up. If I don't get them out, man, it'll blow up. So I'm always inappropriate when I get angry, because I'm usually watching people, and then I get pissed off when they think they're getting away with it, and I blurt out something stupid or something mean, or really actually something appropriate. So I begin to rewrite how I define, being truthful. And sometimes people need to hear it. I'm just not comfortable telling people, but it may not be my purview. But I'll pull them aside, and I started to get enjoyment out of making people think. and I like to make people think. And I try to do it in a kind way, but often I'll blurt out. I think it's important though. If you don't get angry, you're going to have to go to the therapist, take
Yeah.
care of it there.
Yeah, I asked my friend, can satire be destructive? He wrote comedy with Robin Williams. He says that's the job of satire.
It can be
And
destructive.
Jonathan Swift compared satire to a mirror in which people could see every face but their own. Zappa even saying, "Watch the Nazis run your town. Now go home and check yourself. You think we're singing about somebody else."
Yeah, I
So
agree.
what is the function of satire?
Well, to make you feel uncomfortable, I would suppose, and kind of when we chuckle, we have a little bit of laugh. It's often a release of discomfort. I'll laugh often when I have pain, and when I get something, I laugh it away. So laughter has many forms, and it comes from many places. So when we laugh, we can laugh. We actually might be laughing at ourselves. I think satire. I don't know. I can't judge the whole breadth of satire, but when done, in a certain way, um, really opens us up, makes us expand, because we really run along ruts and routines, and it keeps us safe and comfortable as we go. And okay, we're changing as we go, but certainly satire is a group effort to, and we can feel comfortable if somebody's next to us, to kind of chuckling too, and that's a big cathartic release. I think I love
It's
satire.
really good. Really good, because Gurdjieff said that laughter is the reconciliation of yes and no. But McLuhan loved to quote Steve Allen, who said, behind every joke, there's a grievance. You don't even have to use the word every, but behind jokes, there's a grievance. Any thought on that?
Yeah, I definitely see that. I see it all the time. I think that there's this kind of like a pressure that's being released because you pop that bubble. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done that much thinking about it, but I certainly agree that, well, I've seen humor used to tell truth or to hurt or to couch it in as a sneaky way to say something that's mean. I've seen all kinds of different uses of humor, but certainly what I think about it is really good to check yourself occasionally. All of us, ourselves and each other, but in a kind
Yeah.
way. You can hurt people.
Yep. You use the word kind a lot, man. I'm really inspired by that, Zane. So, what's the most significant difference between men and women, physical aside?
I never wanted to be a woman, and I would say, because it seems to be so difficult. They're so much more complicated than us, and I know that's, you're talking about physically, but I'm talking about emotionally as well. They I think our challenge is to learn how they think, but not to be them. And so the women that I've met many strong women. Like what strong women have impressed me more than us. So I think that women are really a gift to our expansion. I can't say much more than that, because we're different, but we together we can conquer the world, man. If we're right.
Beautiful. There's a line, Zane, that goes, you create what you resist. Bob Goldthwait, the comedian, morphed it into you are what you hate. James Joyce said it's a curious thing how your mind is super saturated with the religion in which you say you disbelieve. And Louis Buñuel nailed it. He said, "Thank God I'm an atheist." So
Yeah.
it's a lot of thoughts, but it's basically, what's your take on this thought? You create what you resist. I'm not saying you, Zane, but one creates what one resists. Any thoughts on that line?
Well, Jerry Spence wrote a book called Power, and you don't give, you don't, people don't have power unless you give it to them. And if you give something power, if you don't revisit your thought processes occasionally, um, or you don't meditate or whatever it is that gets you there to take a deep breath, and you're going to give these certain thought patterns that uh, organisms, or they call it, or whatever they call them, the way we analog our process, will definitely have power and become like a piece of glass we got to cut out. So I really believe in, if you could, I do it often. I just kind of daily, I'm just looking at how I'm thinking, what can I do better, and always very critical. But I'm used to that. But I do believe that, yeah, be careful what you label it as, because well, because we think so simply, and we like to get these little labeling things going on, and it makes it easier for to get through life. it kind of like history gets written, and that becomes part of our thinking process. So certainly be careful not to go back there and take a peek at that. It's not really taught to us to do that. Well, not in this culture, but certainly, yeah, I believe that you can give it too much power.
Yeah. In fact, Hollis Frampton's experimental filmmaker, he says narrative is born among the animal necessities of the spirit because we're waiting to die. Can you forget to die?
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I never, it doesn't enter my mind unless I see somebody else, and it'll go through my mind for a moment and think, yeah, but I've already signed up for this trail. We live
Yeah.
this long, or we live this long, and my sister was taken away early from leukemia, and she just graduated early as an angel, or however you want to say it, makes yourself feel good. But I signed on to this a long time. I just witnessed
Yeah.
a lot, so um, I've never even thought about that much. I don't, I assume I'm going to. I don't even think about it. When my train comes, it's okay. But it doesn't even
How do you
cross my
find
mind
peace?
really.
Yeah, that was good. That was good, Zane. Because people have trouble with that question because they don't know if they're supposed to take it literally or metaphorically. So I really appreciate how you've handled these questions. How do you find peace of mind?
By staying as close as I can in the reality. If I've made a mistake or lied or did some misbehavior, even though I'm as old as I am, forgive myself. But most of the time, just stay in touch as best you can. Um, so I. What was the question again?
How do you find peace of mind?
My peace of mind is doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My peace of mind is if there's no marker. I mean, I accept it. I really believe it's very destructive to say you should give 110% every day. No, man, you're given a gift in the morning. You got a
Yeah.
day, give it a shot and see what you got.
Mm.
And so I don't think you should run perfectly at any time. I think you should sign on to the fact that we were imperfect to get here, and we're imperfect. What is perfect? I don't know. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine. We're just where we are, and we're getting better.
That's it. I totally agree. These are 5 quick Alan Watts questions off the top of your head in just a couple words. First one, who started it all?
It never started.
2, are we going to make it?
We are.
3, where do we put it?
Put it right in this moment, right now.
Nice. 4, who's cleaning it up?
We're doing that right now.
5, is it serious?
No.
God, you are good. Okay, Zane, if you were walking down the street today, now most people they can't knock those out of the park. Like every one of those Alan Watts were amazing. Especially, you really resonated with this Baba Ram Dass line. Be here now. Live in the moment.
Yeah.
It's hard to live in the moment, and
Oh yeah. I like.
it is. It's like it is. And so, if you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
That's a really great question because I always use that to other people. I say, hey, think of who you are 10 years from now in the future and 10 years in the back, and be able to talk to that person, wave over across the
Yeah.
street. Hey, bro, how is, and maybe have 4 of those guys, over the
Yeah.
years of your life. But yeah, no. I'd say, hey, it's going to be okay. And you're getting your rhythm. But I
Yeah.
really made friends with those people, and they are different people. When have you read some poetry you wrote or something I don't know. You look back and go, well, who the heck was that person? But
Yeah.
there's a thread that runs through it. But we are changed. There's chapters that are like, wow, what was that all
Yeah.
about? And then these, oh, that was cool. So yeah, I just want to connect those people. Like, hey, bro, it's okay.
Yeah.
And you got some hurt. You got some, because I carry hurt in my heart for what happened to my mother and other people. What happens to people. And it's tragic, but we try to make the best of it. So I carry that. And I carry that for that friend that I was and will be, and say, bro, you didn't do that right, man. But we'll give you a pass, and we're going forward. We're lucky. So I consider that we. I'm kind of schizophrenic in that route. I do think of myself as different persons throughout time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was touching. I asked Dr. John, the New Orleans pianist, all these questions, and that was the only question. He goes, "I won't go there." It was like too. It was like too voodoo to meet yourself as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, no, he was
So, Zane, which way should toilet paper come off the roll, over or under?
over the top because I think I have respect for other people. I
Oh,
get annoyed when people put it from the bottom. It's not my business to be annoyed, but it's like, did you have time when you're sitting on your ass to put that toilet paper over the top? Come on, man.
if a publisher was to release your autobiography off the top of your head, what would the title be?
My biography, yeah. Okay, give me 1 second on this one. Um, from the water, that's all.
Nice.
I
From
like
the water. I love that. And they want to scent the glue in the binding. What smell?
what smell would it be? Oh, it's got to be redwood.
Oh, redwood.
Oh,
Nice.
I love that smell.
There's a, if a statue was built in your honor, where would you want it displayed and what would it be made of?
I don't want a statue in my honor. I don't. I give it to somebody else.
I get that answer sometimes. That's very nice.
I don't want a statue in my honor. I don't. My friend. It's funny when we came back from tour, and there was a rumor going around you can get like $10,000 if you dedicate your body to science to UCLA. And he goes, I want my skeleton hung in a girls' educational class for medicine or something. So my skeleton could be, we donated. And they said we have to tattoo your toe, property of UCLA. And then all the girls were really upset with us. We said, no, we'll wear sandals. But that wasn't true. So we went in that route. But no, I don't. No, just tumble me off the back of a truck in the desert. I'm fine, man. Let the bugs go.
Tell me something good you never had and you never want.
Tons of money. Tons of money. I don't want tons of money. Just enough oil in the car.
Yeah. That's the three answers I get the most, Zane. Money, fame, and heroin.
Yeah.
Weird.
Heroin, you never get done with that. I know that's tough. But alcohol, the same. It's really tough, man.
If you were in a vat of vomit up to your neck and someone threw a bag of shit at your face, what would you do?
I just go down for a little while and hold my breath for a while. So go back up. I'm a diver, so it's no problem. I'll just go down. I'm already screwed anyway, so I might as well own it.
We got a few more and we're out of here, Zane. This has been really enlightening for me, and I appreciate your time. What's the cultural shift you see developing today that inspires you?
Well, I do believe that I do believe in the kids. I believe in young people.
Yeah.
And to me, they're they're dealing with a lot of information, obviously the AI thing and all this stuff, but I do believe in young and people speaking out like Greta against the I just like want to cry. I mean, when young people stand up against the gun shootings, that one guy who got castigated, anybody can be a hero and young people, man. I was a youngster, precocious, and but didn't mouth off very much. But some of these kids are not afraid to, even though they may be shy, they need to speak out. So I like to see passion through youth. I love that.
It's a really good point. And you've spoke about honesty and truth and how do we determine, since everything's in flux, always changing. Louis Buñuel says, I'm for anyone who seeks the truth but part ways when they claim they found it. Now, most people love that, but one guy challenged me, says, no, that's bullshit, because if I'm going to seek something, it's because I want to find it. And the cliche goes, the journey's more important than the destination. Why do we have to name or seek a destination if the journey's more important?
No, both are true in the same moment. I used to hike all the time. I still hike a bit, but we used to, every time we get to the mountaintop, there's another mountain over there. So, and that was in Santa Barbara. We'd get up early in the morning before the sun came up and then hike our way up there. And then that's the part of the journey. Throw yourself out there. And then you got to get someplace to go, wave a flag, plan it. That's okay. That's just part of the journey. We can make a mark, but no, I think we have to question ourselves continually, man. Be careful. You
Yeah.
often are wrong. You be veered off. So I continually do that, and that makes me feel. I'm not even saying it's right. It makes me feel like I'm at least being truthful to myself and my method. And there is a time limit. You have to say, okay, let it go, because I believe the three things in life. Use your history as a guiding light, right? And but keep open minded so you don't let that overpower your current experience. And no one stuff doesn't mean that much anyway. Let it go.
Yeah.
Right? Toss it away and move on. Let's go, man.
That's really good 3 steps. And, the history line is good because we're doing a project on archiving. Why do humans archive? Why do we save? It's evident you study history, but it's like Egyptians put stuff in their coffin with them. And, as we get to this age, we have a lot of boxes of stuff generally. And then we go, well, my kids or my loved one will take care of them. Or we go, well, no, some of this is important. I want it. Do you think this need or want to archive is more innate or more invented by humans?
No, it's incredibly important. I mean, it's so important. When we're kids, we collect toys. And when we have these spirits around us from memorabilia, we collect stuff because we believe that there's other things out there beyond our current experience. So a hoarder or an archiver or a kid with collecting toys, that's just a natural instinct that we have. And I think that we attach great spirituality to it. And we have this also this innate knowledge that this stuff is important. Somebody else from the past, or it might be available to us. So there's 3 steps of stuff we need now, stuff we might need later, and stuff we really should give away, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always a transition between these 3 things. All of us to a different degree. You like stocks, you buy a couple extra pairs. You actually stock up with some food because there might be a big apocalyptic coming in,
Yeah.
or archive because you might get some knowledge that was already forgotten. I've seen so many lost civil. So I've had friends who are archaeologists and tell me about how much stuff we've lost. So this idea of not losing it, that feeling that we have, it might be there for us. Well,
It's well done, Zane. Really beautiful. What question remains unresolved for you?
how we can find better ways to love each other.
Jeez, that is so good.
It's true, though.
Yeah. And how has 2 things? How has making music shaped your behavior, and how has making building homes shaped your behavior?
Well, making homes has taught me a lot about business, and because there's so many facets of the building process, psychologically and inspections wise, and all the codes, and so it's allowed me to be able to walk through thorny patches and the complicated human structures. I've been talking about politically and psychologically, and test my mettle against those challenges. I wish I would have had more time to do more interesting alternative buildings, but that's not my life. And then the music was allowed me to cry, with feelings,
Wow.
allowed me to touch myself in that way and connect to other people. I felt a part of. I think the biggest seeking path I had was just to connect to people. I felt distant and alone, and making music made me feel part of. That's a very selfish thing I did, but that's what it did.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really a great statement, and I love how you detailed the homes thing, because Winston Churchill said, "We shape our buildings, then they shape us." And McLuhan was great at taking aphorisms and rewording them or reinventing them. And he said, "We shape our tools, then they shape us."
I love that one. I mean, it's
So,
really
so
important.
yeah, it is. It's like just the Zoom experience. People for 35, 38 years, I did these in person with people. In fact, I did a lot of them at the Unurban. I remember when I interviewed Flo at the Unurban. Do you know this story? This friend of ours.
You can ask her.
Oh, Flo. Anyway, it was such an amazing experience. that one of our friends was there and he didn't know Flo, but talking to her for 90 minutes, he went gaga over her for, because it was like I got to become familiar with who Flo was in 90 minutes. And that's like a condensed period. But with the Zoom experience, now I'm just in front of a person's face for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And, when you're in a room, your eyes travel around and, you see other things in the room. So it's interesting how the Zoom experience has changed the interview experience,
Well, yeah, it's a wannabe. They'll get better at it, but at least we're connecting,
Yeah.
and that's the main thing. Absolutely. But um, Jerry, I really respect you so much for what you've given to this. Well, through the world, but through the local. When I saw your events west, you blew my mind, and so thank you. Don't
Well,
thank me.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Jerry, I will also say that, yeah, I agree with you. If you interview someone in person, there's a whole other landscape.
Yeah.
But to do the Zoom, you probably get to reach a lot more people.
I reach a lot more people, but I'll tell you, they're more intimate in a way because you're confined to your face. Like when me and you sat at the Unurban, we pretty much looked at each other in the face, but we'd also turn to the audience and we would see the whole room. So it is interesting how it's changed, the interview process for me. And of course, I like interviewed a guy in France yesterday who lives in America, but he just happened to be in France and neither of us had to drive or fly or anything. And so it makes for, maybe like you're uh, praising Greta. It's like we didn't have to burn, our fossil footprint or whatever we didn't have to fly.
Can I ask you an important question? This is a deep
I've
question.
got two more to close out, but you asked me one. Go ahead.
I just want to know, is my hair okay?
Oh God, you look like a rock star the whole time. Also, the great
I'll get an avatar if you want.
the great thing, Zane, is you were articulate and concise. A lot of people want to say something and then say it again about 2 or 3 more times. You would say it and you would wrap up and then we'd move on. So it was, you look great and you were very it's fun because I feel like I'm getting what you're saying. It feels like the words you're using are communicating to me. So I appreciated your time here.
Thank you,
But I got
Jerry.
2 more to close out here. One is Thornton Wilder said in 1928, art is confession. Art is the secret told. But art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, it's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time. You've laid your cards on the table for 90 minutes. I'm not insinuating you haven't already answered this. What's it really all about for you?
When I became conscious, or old enough to start thinking even slightly philosophically, what it's all about is really respecting how I'm an explorer on this little journey, this little snippet of time. It's as we continue to explore the universe, the quantum physics, each other, through all these things. I'd never stopped being in wonder and awe. So if I can just continue to know that while I'm here, I connect to other people, and I've not left all alone. And then here we go with the lone thing. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging that.
Yeah. It's beautiful, Zane.
Way too romantic, but that's the truth.
Dude, romance is good. Hey, what gives you the most optimism?
It's everywhere I look around. There is goodness in humans. We get highlighted about the badness, but there's goodness all over, man. And all these little interesting twists on how to look at life, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
If it ain't fun, I don't want any part of it. I want out. So eventually it has to be fun. Eventually I can hang in there long enough that through my life it's been a little longer and longer before the fun happens. But if I ain't having fun, I'm out. And I have great license now. I've come a long way where I don't have to be hostage to something or the outcome or this or that or some big kind of. I'm an entrepreneur, so I've done many failed efforts, many failed partnerships. So I've got my, I've been trained to be in reality. It's okay. I got this. But yeah, man, we gotta have a little fun, can we?
Hello. That's what I've had for the last 90 minutes. But just in closing, Zane, thank you again. It's been truly enlightening. And, the first question, what's the best thing for a human being? Wilhelm Reich said the best thing for a human being is another human being. And the last question is what gives you the most optimism? That's what they asked Groucho Marx at the end of his life. And he said, other people. So it's sure been fun spending this time with another person, especially because it was you, Zane. Thank you so much. And even though I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, I hope this never ends and we can keep talking forever and ever.
Can I do sound for Susie? Is that cool?
Well, we need you there badly. Definitely.
I'd love to be there. I'd be honored.
Yeah, that's on her birthday. It's going to be out of control, and it's be a madhouse, and we'll get through it with fun. That's the key.
Thank you. All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zane, and thank you, Flo. I love you both.
Thank you, Jerry. Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.